another segment of Eye on You, student production through the University of Massachusetts Lowell in collaboration with Lowell Telecommunications. Our segment for today is on robotics. And for our student guest reporters today, we have hockey phenomenon, Bobby Robbins. Bobby, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I heard you had great success the other day at BC.
Yeah, it was actually at home. We won 6-3, and it was
nice,
terrific,
pretty amazing game to watch and to be involved in.
And joining Bobby also as a student guest reporter, we have Lee Jackson. Lee is in my news writing class. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And then from the University of Massachusetts Lowell, we have Dr. Fred Martin from the Computer Science Department and robotics specialist. Dr. Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm Bridget Driscol, and I'll be your host today. And I think I'll start off the round of questions, Dr. Martin, with we actually never truly get to venture to North Campus, and we
were just talking about that.
I know. We don't know too much about robotics, so could you share with us, if we were in your 101 robotics class, what is robotics, why is it important, how does it impact the community?
Well, those are all the questions all at once.
Yeah.
What is robotics to start? So I define robotics as being, well, at the heart of it is computer control. So it's about some computer that is running the robot, making it do things. And then what the rest of the robot has some sort of actuators that make it move around and do things, like motors and lamps and sound, anything that sort of produces outputs. And then robots also have sensors. So they have some way of sensing the world and knowing what's going on. And then all that whole system is like glued together by the computer program. So that's what a robot is.
And I'm going to turn this over to Lee.
Dr. Martin, we were wondering, how did you get started in robotics? What sparked your interest?
I've always, well, as long as I can remember, I was interested in computers and like mechanized things. And like from when I was a pretty small, like 6 or 8 year old kid, I remember being interested in those kind of things. And when I was a teenager, I had one of the early home computers, so this is for the people in the audience who are like my age, the Radio Shack TRS-80, which was one of the first home computers. It cost about $1,000, but that would have been like 20 years ago or something, more than that. And so with that device, I was able to write programs and make them do stuff on the screen. And I'd always wanted to make things happen in the world with my computer programs. And I got a chance to do that when I went to college and became an undergraduate. I got involved in robotics in research laboratories.
That's great.
Did you have a teacher or a mentor that helped you through high school or into college?
I did. I did have a math teacher who was very special and worked with me for 4 years when I was probably in 9th through 12th grade. And he had a small group of students, you know, like the smart students. And so I actually worked with him like with one other kid when I was a junior, and then he tutored me personally. And this was just in a public school in upstate New York. So it was a pretty unusual situation. But we didn't actually do robotics together. We just did like math, like this, you know, standard math, calculus, analytic geometry, and that stuff.
Bobby?
Well, actually, I'm very interested in something I researched about you and your department called BotFest.
Yeah.
And I'm a little curious as to what it is.
So BotFest is a robotics exhibition that I co-organized with the other roboticist in my department, Holly Yanko. So she and I are the 2 professors in the computer science department who do robotics. And we organized this event that's actually two events in one. It's Bot-Ball, which is a competitive contest for middle and high school kids. And she and I organized the New England region of Bot-Ball. And then we've created this Bot Fest, which is non-competitive. It's sort of like a science fair of robotics without the judging. So anything goes. We invite kids, teachers, our own students, my students, make exhibits for Bot Fest. And we just set up and like just share the stuff that we've been working on.
Is anybody allowed to submit
Oh,
something?
yeah.
It's open to anyone?
You have to build something now.
I'm going to work on it. I'm gonna
hockey
start working
robot.
on it.
Actually, I built a hockey robot when I was a grad student. One of the early robotic contests that we developed was a hockey playing robot contest. We actually got a real hockey puck and mounted a stalk on it with some infrared lights at the top so the robots could see it, because they're pretty dumb. So if it was just a hockey puck, they probably wouldn't see it. So it was like a hockey puck with blinking lights on it.
Okay.
And then, and then we built like a little table, and the robots had to like knock the puck into. Oh no, it was actually a circular table, and the robots had to grab the puck. That was the game. So we took a lot of liberties with the game.
Did you win?
Well, actually, I was an organizer, so mine was
Oh.
just an exhibition robot.
You were saying before about the computers, how you've seen the changes. What other advances and how has robotics, the field, changed over time in the world? And
Well, it's, I just saw the movie I, Robot this past weekend,
I
as it
haven't
happens,
seen it.
with Will
I've
Smith.
seen
It's a
it.
couple of years old, but yeah, I never see movies now that I have kids because they're too little.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was a pretty interesting movie. It's sci-fi. Have you guys both seen it?
I saw
I've
it,
seen
yeah.
it.
Should I see it?
Yeah, it's
It's
pretty
pretty good.
good.
I liked it.
Yeah, actually, the story was. I was really impressed. The story was very authentic at the end. I didn't have high expectations just because it's Hollywood, but.
Right.
But what was cool about it was like this image of like 40 years in the future, that there'd be these humanoid robots that would just be like with us all the time, and like 1 in 5 households had like an assistant robot. It was funny. Like they'd always be like carrying boxes around, like that would be like their delivery robots.
Yeah.
But what was striking was this notion that we would just be comfortable with these like mechanized automatons around us. And I think it was a little weird, actually, in the film, because these things like seemed like people, like they certainly looked like people on purpose. And nowadays we don't have that, but what we have are like robot pets. And there's the Sony Aibo robotic dog.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
And they bark, don't
Yeah,
they?
they bark
They
and
follow
they
you.
scurry around. They do all sorts of stuff. Yep. And then we have the robotic Roomba vacuum, which is
Oh, yeah.
actually the first like commercially successful household robot made by a local company. Coincidentally, the name is also iRobot. They're in Burlington, Mass.
What does it do? Vacuum your carpet?
It vacuums your carpet. It's
Do you have one?
I don't have one, but I've seen one.
Should I
But-
get one?
Well, so you should get one if you want to have a relationship with your vacuum cleaner.
Oh, I don't.
But it's like a frisbee that's 4 inches thick, is what it is. And like all I mean is that it's sort of like when you get a new toy, like if you got a new vacuum and it didn't pick up the lint, you like rather than just picking it up yourself, you'd like put it down and like
Right.
make sure the robot picks it up. That's what. So you have to like, get it to work.
Right.
But they do work. It's kind of amazing. And then you charge it. So it's kind of like having a pet that does something useful, but it's also a toy. And so, but those work because they're really kind of innocent. It's like this little like hockey puck again. It's an oversized hockey puck.
Do you have
that's
to
running
feed
around.
them?
Well, they recharge off the batteries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, the second version of it charges itself, so you don't have to chase it down to plug it in. The first version, it would just like go off and run out of battery somewhere, and you had to find it.
I can tell you want one, right?
I've seen that.
But it really is about like what's it like to have one of these things in your house, and what this Will Smith movie was so weird is like this servant, and it's like who wants that, in your house? So, but maybe people do. I mean, I don't think I'd go for like the humanoid robot, but something that's more like a pet.
I don't
That
know.
would be fun.
If it could do all your chores for you and
That's
pick
an
up and
idea.
everything, that'd be pretty good.
There was a scene where it was like chopping carrots in the kitchen.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
remember
well,
that.
cooking is sort of fun. You want the robot doing it for you. But the other thing that struck me about this movie, because like then the robots go berserk, and
Right.
of course, is that society is actually that society, and for that matter, our society is basically dependent on robots. I mean, all of our manufactured stuff, all the circuit boards are assembled by robots. Just many systems in the world, even if they're not like moving